Hey, what's up, traders? This is the watch list video for, I think, Wednesday, right? Let me double check. Wednesday, March 30th. Um, the wildly impressive move in the overall market in the SPY continues. We gapped up today. Early on, it felt like a blow off top, right? Because we gapped up and then sold off. Thought, okay, well, now we're finally rolling over. And look at that, we go out at the high. So the strength is impressive. We did have some pretty neat calls in the chat room today. I'll go over those real quick, a couple of them anyway. ALLG is one of my favorite things about being a day trader. Is ALLG, you see it had this rip and then closed at the lows, and you might think, oh man, some people got burned. But if you're a day trader, right, in cash at night, make your money between the bells. Let me go to 2-minute candles. Kevin P in chat called this over 22. It hit 22, came back down, and you had the previous day's high just above at 22.19, and it's a recent high flyer. So Kevin P put the 22 break out, and look at that. That's a 2-minute candle. So you're up $1.85 in 2 minutes. It halted and then goes up to over $28. So not including the halt, it took about, I don't know, 4-5 minutes to make a massive gain there and a great call. So even though it closed ugly, we teach people to scale out into strength. And another, I feel like a broken record, another amazing call by Kevin P. A couple that I called with PIK, it was on the watch list video if you watched it last night. So PIK put in its early high. This is the opening candle right here. Put in its early high at 480 and then did this push. I didn't see it till it had already done this push. Well, I didn't want to chase it, but I looked and said, you know what? Yesterday's high is 525. So you got a possible quarter number inflection point. And the earlier high, right, the high that I put in right here is 515. So it comes back down. So then I liked it more, right? It kind of resetting, and I called it long back through 515, knowing that a break of 525 is another potential catalyst, and boom. Again, these are 5-minute candles, so the trigger right there. So 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes from 515 to 590. Again, when you find the right setups, they will, if they trigger, and if they work, they generally work right away, the setups that we teach. So that was also kind of a neat one. And then late in the day, I called NRSN. I'll take today's candle out of it. We had it on bounce watch, right? Big rip, several days back down in a row into that buy zone. So I had it on bounce watch, and it did almost a perfect intraday setup. This is the opening candle. It popped to 439, kind of cup and handle throughout the day. And as it started to curl up, I called it, high of day break, I said would be the first afternoon high of day break since this was over 750. That's the setup that we look for. And when volume started to come in before it even got to 440, I said could be a Tokyo. So some of you may have got this in the 430s and a pretty quick move to 520. Again, worked right away. Love those setups. And that was my biggest trade of the day right there, money-wise. All right, anyway, there's some highlights. What are we watching for tomorrow? IGMS. And by the way, I missed a really nice setup here. You kind of had this cup and handle. I thought about a second mouse through 23, which would have been right there. Didn't call it, didn't take it. It kind of happened quick. Like by the time I noticed it, it had already, volume was coming and it wasn't time to call, and I didn't even catch it. But huge move there. Anyway, I didn't trade this one today, but certainly an interesting long setup for tomorrow. Well, I say long. I say we'll see if we get an intraday long setup. But certainly a nice breakout on really big volume, and it's got a fairly small float for a stock of that price. I'm going to put PIK back on watch because it seems to have found support. Don't like the fact that it's gotten slapped down here and here, but if we kind of meander and get back up near that 590 area, then you got the whole number 6. Then you got from the other day 620 and maybe a big move. So I think PIK is still a decent setup if we get a proper intraday setup. BBIG, I never trade this thing, but it is up near recent highs and had big volume today, so I threw it on a chart. NEGG, let me zoom in a little bit, had the big rip yesterday from 501 to 848. That's a huge percentage move. We had a gap down today, but a pretty narrow range. So I'm looking for a potential third day play in NEGG. ANY, also looking for a third day play. You had the big pop, quiet inside day, looking for a third day play there. AGRI had a big rip back here, and now you're 3 days in a row. Narrow range today, right in that buy zone. Pretty good bounce play setup there on AGRI. We'll see if we get an A+ setup in it. BROS, coffee shop, I think, attempting to break out over recent highs today. Topped out close to 65. Decent volume. We're going to see if it gives a follow-through day setup. NRSN, I'm going to go ahead I don't love this because it had the bounce and gave some of it back. But I still think with that nice move it made today, it's worth having on a chart tomorrow. CLVR, I wish it had a stronger close because then it would look really good to me. You had the big rip, right? Then the gap down and a close at the previous day's low. So what? I'll take today's candle out of it. What do you have? You've got a whole bunch of longs stuck in this thing, right? So I wouldn't have even put this on bounce watch. You just got a bunch of bag holders. But then today, it curled up and actually took out yesterday's high briefly, but closed well off of its highs. The volume coming into this thing, though, and the strength is pretty impressive when you look at what it did yesterday. So I am going to keep that one on a chart. And that's a pot stock, so you could watch any one of the pot stocks. Whoops, I didn't type that right. PHAS, nice little breakout today, big volume, closing off its high, so we're going to keep our eyes on that one. MVIS, nice breakout today. We'll see if we get a follow-through setup tomorrow. HOOD, which is Robinhood, 100 million shares traded, nice breakout. We'll see if that has a follow-through setup. And then lastly, DRCT, which I actually like the chart anyway, but that's not why it's on the list. It's on the list because it's gapping in after hours on earnings. It's trading at 385 right now. So if we hold up, this is going to be an interesting looking gap play tomorrow with all-time highs at 435. So that's a potential gap play. We will add other gappers to this list as well in the pre-market tomorrow. Great teamwork, everyone, and I'm done babbling. I'll see you in the chat room in the morning.